Hi folks, welcome to Hunt Sleep Fish. Today we're in southeastern Oklahoma. We're going to take you bass fishing at McGee Creek. You know, Gary and I consider ourselves some pretty good bass fishermen. Today we're going to team up with Chuck Justice. You know, Chuck's the only person in Oklahoma with 4 bass on the top 20. I think by the end of the day we're all going to be better fishermen, so please join us.
I was born in a little town where my parents had settled down, where the grass is green, that sky so blue, and the mountains look down on you. Now my dad works in the coal like his dad, God rest his soul. And my mom took care of us kids. We grew up like we did. But I'll ride a bus, I'll ride a train. I'm going home one of these days. I'll drive a truck, I'll fly a plane. I'm going home one of these days. I'm going home, home one of these ways.
Well, we're going to start out fishing deep. We're going to go hit some of my favorite wintertime spots on up the lake a ways. We'll try that for 2 or 3 hours, see what happens. If we're not getting anything there, or if we get lucky and we catch a whole bunch of fish there, sometime later today we'll go up in some shallower water, 10 to 15 feet, maybe a little bit less, and throw some jigs, stuff like that. If we can just get one bite up in that area, we can catch a new state record fish. This lake could, yeah, no.
You hold the state record on this lake,
Yeah, I have the new certified lake record I caught last July. It weighed 12 pounds, 11 ounces. That's what it weighed. That was my 4th Oklahoma top 20 fish. No, one of my clients had the lake record here for 5 years prior to that. He's a real good friend of mine. His name's Lewis Chestnut. He lives in Oklahoma City. And I broke his record, but his stood for 5 years. And heck no, man. I mean, I wish he would break my record today. It'd just be too cool.
Well, if I get one, I'll put an asterisk on my name.
There you go. All right. It's still February. We've had some warm days. So what I want to do is come up in these spots where I've caught some big fish before, and we're throwing jigs and throwing that Hoo Daddy Jr. now. We're fishing about 7 to 10 foot of water. I just wanted to come up here and fish a little bit. It's one of these deals where I don't expect us to get a lot of bites up in here, but if we could get a bite, it's liable to be a huge fish, especially in the afternoon like you was talking. Water's warmed up a little bit as the afternoon's gone on. So we're going to get up in here, and I'm throwing a jig, and I've got Gary throwing that Hoo Daddy Jr. And we're just going to see if we can't bump us a great big fish right in here, right back in this pocket right here. This pocket gets a lot of sunshine all day long. It doesn't get any north wind, and it gets all the south wind, so it usually warms up in here real quick. Cast.
Knew that wind would catch up with us sooner or later.
Yeah. It's still not too bad. Compared to yesterday, it's not even blowing. This right in here yesterday would have had white caps on it. Big time. I'm going to turn the trolling motor on and move us on back down into this cove. A year and there'll be other big fish in there. Because whatever brought those first big fish there, it continues to draw them year after year as long as the cover doesn't change. Oh, there ought to be a great big one right down in the middle of that thing, right in there. We're at that spot and I was anchored out, throwing at the same tree. I sit there and threw at it for about 30 minutes and I made a cast and my other boat had a clock in the front of it. I looked down at that clock and I went, wow, I threw over there and I was feeding that line like this. And I told my wife, I said, well, it's 20 minutes till 9. That's when I caught that 11.6 last night, and that was a cast I caught the 12.11 on. Same spot 24 hours later. It feels like sort of like Kentucky the way it's shaking his head. Oh, he's not as nice as I thought he was. There you go. Come on, jump. You gonna jump? Can't do it, can you? Look, Kentucky. So, yeah, he does. Kentucky spotted bass. You know, we're not catching just tons of fish, but as you can see, even that little old bitty fish just sucked that bait all the way down. You know, I mean, the ones that are hitting it, they're definitely wanting it. There's no doubt about it. You know, I'll show you something here on camera that a lot of people, they wonder, you know, I say, oh, Kentucky or Florida when it's coming up. The easiest way to tell the difference in these two fish is right here on the tongue of this fish, right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little brown spot. Now, the only ones that have that are the Kentuckys and the smallmouths. And the way you can tell if it's Kentucky or Florida is just put your finger there, and it's just real rough. Feels like they've got teeth right there in their mouth. So that's the easiest way to tell them. I can tell them by the markings. The Kentuckys have a lot different markings than the Floridas do, but that's the easiest way to tell them. And we'll turn this little baby back and tell your great granny on the Florida side to give me a call. Thank you, Lord. All right. That one was right back there by that tree. Must have been around something when I first hooked him. Felt like it was a lot bigger fish than what it was. This spot right here is a place where the creek channel comes out. This is one of the few spots on the lake where I catch fish year round. It seems like it doesn't make any difference whether it's winter or spring or summer or fall. There's always some fish right here where this creek channel comes out of this timber into this open water. I catch them lots of different ways during different times of the year, which right now we're catching them on these grubs, this generally skirty grub with the stand-up head. But I catch a lot of fish here in the summertime on Carolina rigs also. And some of the biggest bass that have ever been caught out of this lake have come right here from this area. We're within about 200 yards of where I caught the lake record. So this is an extremely good spot to fish.
And this is a pretty lake. You guys ever get a chance to come down here, you need to come down. It's real scenic. Seen 4 or 5 deer here today. And this is one of the lakes when you're talking about getting not only size and bass, but numbers. This is the place to come. I think we got a deer up there on the bank somewhere. Can hear him. Gotta be a big one right there.
Males or little ones? No, you wouldn't have had a chance. He'd have broke your line as soon as you set the hook. That's a bow dart tree right there. And I say you don't want to grab a hold of that tree. It pricks you, it'll hurt like you. It'll be sore for a week. Dad, come it.
You got 50-pound test line on there?
Yeah, 50-pound bro. You bet. Just for those reasons. That's why I use it right there, because you hook them fish back in those places, and that's where them big fish will come. Well, I mean, man, 200 fishermen, nobody caught a fish over the slot. Not even one out of 200 fishermen. Those two guys, between the two of them, had boated 5 fish over the slot. Just between the two of them. And you can imagine, you don't get them all. You know, if you get 5, you probably hook 10 or 15. But these big ones, they just don't come out of that cover that easy. Well, this right in here is pretty much open. Nice fish, man. Come get him for you. Oh yeah.
Right.
All right, that's a little better fish.
It's the grandbaby, the one you just missed right there.
That's probably one of the offspring. We got a good hook set. Look at that hook sticking out right there.
I laid the wood to him.
Sure did. This is one of the baits we were catching our fish out deep with. Cool, man.
I better break out the heavy equipment here, but
Yeah. It's a pretty little bit nicer fish, for sure.
you bet.
A little bit nicer, for sure. Turn this fish loose. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Try to catch some more great big trophy bass at McGee Creek today on Hunt, Sleep, and Fish. We'll hit this line of stuff right here, and then I'll take you up to the bank and we'll fish around that way.
Boy, this looks awful fishy. There's got to be a big one right in there.
Like I said, you can see this down, you can't go fishing now. If you can sit down, for everything showing right now, there's about 10 times.
I bet you there's been a few people go through props in here.
Oh, yeah. That's what a lot of people
Turned out to be a pretty day.
To show everybody how me and Chuck were fishing today, we were using a stand-up jig head and a Jean LaRue skirted grub. Chuck showed me something right here that I thought was very interesting. Most soft plastics have a seam down the length of them where they come out of the mold. On this bait, and a lot of the jigs I've noticed since then, the seam usually splits the tails of the bait. We're using jigs today, but plastic worms should also be hooked through the seam as well because it helps to balance the bait evenly. Find the seam, trim your weed guard if necessary, insert the hook, being careful that the hook exits the seam so that it splits the arms of the bait. Now when we work this jig across the bottom, the stand-up jig lifts the tail up, creating a crawdad imitation where the hook is positioned perfectly for a strike and not interfering with the action of the bait. Try this the next time you go out, and remember, you cannot fish this bait too slow. There. There's got to be an unfortunate fish right in there. Come on, buddy, where you at?
Hey everybody, we had a great time this week. I hope you did too. I want to thank Chuck for taking us out here fishing at McGee Creek. It's a beautiful lake. You need to call Chuck, let him take you out here fishing. I'm going to put his name at the bottom of the screen here coming up in a little bit, and I promise you'll be a better bass fisherman because of it. God bless you and your family. Take your kids out fishing and join us next week on another adventure on Hunt, Sleep, Fish.
This week's show brought to you by the Oklahoma Big Bucks Contest and Oklahoma Honda Suzuki. The fun starts here.
I'm just fine. Only trees
And also PJ's
around
Lures,
me.
Hook Auger Fishing Poles, and Smith
I'm
Production
just
Company.
fine. Only trees around me. I'm just fine with my mind. At sunrise, I'll be on the water. At sunrise, I'll be on the water. Last sunset, best one yet. And oh, it's the wondering makes guys like me insane. Doing the right mind, we wanna fish out in the rain. My wife thinks I'm crazy, and sometimes she complains if I'm in my right mind.
Got his name on 4 of the top 20 bass in Oklahoma. We're going to get some early season. Almost got through it. You know, Chuck has got some.
You guys stay tuned with Chuck. Okay, let it roll.
He's been fishing a long time at McGee Creek and holds the top bass fisherman. Today we're hooked up with.
After this word from our sponsors with Chuck Justice. No, that sucked. Okay.
Chuck Justice. Golly, Chuck. Don't start laughing at me, then I'm in trouble.
Hi, Chuck. Hi, Chuck. Hey, Chuck, what's going on? Hello, folks.
You're going to have to stop it. I'm going to have to rewrite this.